First of all, subscribe to my channel and comment your name below. In my next video, I'll personally thank you by mentioning your name. In the year 1839, a ship's captain named Brighton set out on a voyage aboard his ship Hope in search of whales. He was sailing near Cape Horn, a dangerous maritime region off the coast of Chile in South America. Along with Captain Brighton, several crew members were also on board. It was evening, and while chasing a whale, Captain Brighton had sailed deep into the sea. Around 9 o'clock at night, the weather suddenly worsened and massive storm waves began rising in the ocean. Captain Brighton and the crew were terrified. Darkness had completely surrounded them, and strong winds were blowing. Suddenly, Captain Brighton noticed a huge white object directly in front of the ship. Slowly, the ship began moving toward it. As it came closer, they realized it was a massive iceberg. At that moment, Captain Brighton understood that his ship was surrounded by ice on all sides. If the ship became trapped, it could take years to escape. With great courage and skill, Captain Brighton managed to save the ship just in time from getting stuck in the ice. The captain and crew sighed in relief, but their troubles were not over yet. Around midnight, the storm had completely calmed, when suddenly they heard a loud cracking sound as if something had broken. The captain and crew looked around and saw a large iceberg moving toward them from one side. They panicked, but as it came closer, they realized it was not an iceberg. It was a schooner ship. On the main deck of that ship, 7 men were standing in a straight line, silently staring in their direction. The ship stopped at a short distance. Captain Brighton expected someone to call out, but there was no sound. He and a few crew members boarded a small boat and rowed toward the mysterious ship, calling out loudly, but received no response. Captain Brighton and his crew then decided to board the ship. Once on board, they discovered that it was an old, abandoned vessel completely covered in ice. The 7 men standing on the main deck were not alive. They were frozen dead bodies, preserved in ice and drifting through the sea for an unknown amount of time. Captain Brighton entered the captain's cabin. There, he saw the ship's captain sitting frozen in his chair, holding a pen and writing on a piece of paper. The final words written were, "Today marks the 71st day our ship has been trapped in ice. This morning, my wife died from hunger and cold. There is no hope left." Captain Brighton then went to the captain's bedroom, where he found the frozen body of a woman. Nearby sat a doctor, also frozen, holding a shiny object in his hand. All the bodies were preserved exactly as they were at the moment of death. Suddenly, Captain Brighton noticed the ship's documents and realized this was the famous ship Jenny, which had disappeared nearly 17 years earlier. At the time, it was believed that the sea had swallowed the ship forever. Captain Brighton never imagined he would find it in such a condition. In reality, in the year 1822, a ship named Jenny had departed from southeast England on a voyage to Callao Port, Peru. During this journey, the ship had to pass through the dangerous Drake Passage, a region responsible for sinking over 800 ships and claiming thousands of lives. The Drake Passage is known for its extreme depth and deadly weather conditions. Besides the captain, the ship carried his wife, a dog, and several crew members. Jenny successfully reached Callao Port, Peru, and began its return journey. However, when the ship failed to return to its home port after a long time, people assumed it had been lost forever in the Drake Passage. What no one knew was that the ship had been trapped in the icy sea for 17 years. Everyone on board, including the dog, had died from hunger and cold back in 1822. Because their bodies were frozen, they remained perfectly preserved. From 1822 to 1839, the ship drifted through the ocean carrying those frozen bodies. Captain Brighton chose not to disturb the dead and left the ship exactly as he found it before returning to his own vessel.